Tēnā rā te katoa. A whānau whānui o Wairarapa, ko tai mai, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou. Good evening, everyone. Just want to welcome you to our meeting this evening, the meeting of the Māori Standing Committee. We'll be recording this meeting online, and so we're holding a meeting in person and also online. So it's live streamed to our YouTube channel for those that aren't aware of that. And welcome, Karen, online. Nice to see you. Thank you for chairing our last formal Māori Standing Committee meeting in April. So thank you for that. For those that are here, just a health and safety briefing. Exits are there and out the back there. We meet over by the playground. If you can find that in the dark, it's well signed. Earthquake, hold and stay put. Watch out for the bricks on that side, but I'm sure this is all being reinforced, our building. So I just want to start with a opening karakia. And it's one that I've just chosen because of the time of the year. So our matariki. So manawa maya te putanga o matariki. Manawa maya te araki o te rangi. Manawa maya te mātahi o te tau. Ngā mihi o te tauhou, Māori. Going into our business, is there any other extraordinary business to be added to the agenda before we get into the agenda? Any other agenda items? Oh, okay, haere tonu. Are there any apologies? Councillor Maynard?
Yes, didn't give apologies. She said she's going to be late. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Ka pai. So it's a pai. Haere tonu.
We keep it out of the minutes.
Better bring puppy inside.
Daddy did it. Oopsie.
Minty moments, Karen.
Okay, well, can I
the trees? Come on.
Can we move apologies for lateness from Councillor Maynard? Thank you, Violet. Do I have a seconder? Dottie? Got a Dottie. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Even online, Karen. Kia ora. And anyone against? Okay, the motion is carried. Item number 3, we're down to conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest to declare for this meeting?
Karen, I have one of the requests for funding application is from Paito Mokai.
So noted, Karen Mikaere and Narita Hooper have a conflict of interest.
We should be all right.
An application for funding from Paito Mokai. All right. This is a time under Pohutakawa that we remember our whānau that have passed. Are there any acknowledgements that you'd like to make? Karapukita. Karapukitapu.
Oh, I like them.
Awa rangatira.
Yep. Auntie's born.
Also record Te Tau, one of our whānau, with his passing as well.
It was
Record.
Play another record. You play another record.
It was the record reign of Queen Victoria here. With
Oh, is that what I know? Really?
Yeah. Okay. If we can just maybe, pause for a minute, just acknowledging those that have gone. Oh, wait. Thank you. Any other acknowledgements with knighthood or anything like that? Do we see?
Am I getting one?
No. Well, we'll have to put our names forward for something. at some stage, but just like to acknowledge you all. We have, moving on to agenda item number 5. We have 3 public participants this evening, and we'd just like, is it Annemiek? Yep. Vandelit, Kuranui College. Part of my.
I've got along with me as well. He's going to open us off with explaining our wānanga, and I'm going to talk about pastoral farm. And I've got some handouts, but I want to think as well about what we're doing.
Okay, so this is our applications for funding.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Simon Fuller Tokinga, ko Te Tumuaki Te Kura, Tuarua o Kuranui. Just like to acknowledge you all and thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to present our application for funding on something that's pretty awesome and, excuse the pun, is growing like a weed in terms of student participation. We started this year with a new program at Kuranui. You'll be aware the role has doubled in size in the last 3 years at KC, and we are looking to partner a heck of a lot more with whānau, iwi community and local businesses to provide more real life work-ready opportunities for our students than we've necessarily done in the past. And we've started a program called Wānanga, which happened on a Wednesday afternoon for about 3 hours, and there's 6 big Wānanga that occur. There's achievement or learning, there's primary industries, there's vocational industries, there's what we call STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics. There's social enterprise, and there is what we call performance. One of our most popular wānanga are the primary industries one. And we were lucky enough at the end of last year to sign a lease with the SWDC to lease some land right next to the college to start a school farm. With the rapid expansion we've built 18 classrooms in 2 years. We're building a brand new gymnasium. All of our land is being built on, and our agriculture plot is getting smaller and smaller. So we've got this wonderful piece which is the Wakeland Street paper road that runs alongside the college, and then parallel to East Street, so we're leasing that, and we've started a school farm, and we've got students from year 9 to 13 that are actually getting involved in what it's like to design, plan, build a farm from scratch, but make it sustainable into the future. And we've got a really passionate teacher, Annemiek, who's been with us for a couple of years now, but this is her sort of bread and butter, and the kids are getting right in behind what she's doing in terms of the opportunities that we can now provide on site. Also, she'll talk you through the specifics of the application.
Yeah, so at the start of the year, we got our lease from Waitangi District Council, and it's about a hectare of land that is covered in broom, bit of gorse, overgrown grass, and there's a stream that's passing through it near the Pakawai Road side. So our first project was to strip the fencing because it was all broken and not safe for stock, And the first project we wanted to do is get a new boundary up so that we can get some stock in there to clean it up and then work from there. So we've had the kids clearing a bit of broom, and just in the last few weeks, we've had J&R Contracting come in to do our fencing with us. So that was really cool to get the students involved. And then looking forward from there, we are clearing a bit of the rubble and debris that's been found on site, and hopefully moving on a shed where it was on another part of the farm, so that we can build a bit of like a sharing plant and can teach the kids crutching and sharing opportunities. And then a part of that block that isn't going to be, that will be there, is the horticulture plot. If depending on the bit that's left over from the gymnasium build, so we'll need to move some of the horse build into that section. And then going forward into next year, we want to develop some junior classes for our junior ag and forward programs, so that they can have a experience before they reach level 1 NCA. So what we've been done for is to help us get a few of those initiatives underway, and our one initiative are a part of that hands-on opportunity to build that the farm for, you know, for next year. Wānanga will continue, but then at least once we have our courses going, our senior ag classes can have more practical opportunities. It's been very theory-based is so far, just due to not having land access as it is. So yeah, we've got a few sheep grazing at the moment, and the kids are getting really excited to go and meet them for the first time tomorrow. And there's a few new entrants as well. There's a few lambs that have come, and we're currently grazing two young cows, or rising 2-year-olds. So they'll be there for a week or two. But the idea is for going forward next year, we can, you know, raise our own stock from young to, you know, going into our other vocational foods. Perhaps we, you know, use our own meat, we grow our own vegetables, get our own eggs and chickens and stuff, and the kids can use that and learn the whole process, but also getting local companies and contractors in to educate. So yeah, the funding will go towards, you know, financing our fencing. That's one of our major costs at the moment, and power units onto it so that we can hold that stock safely, and then also educating a few more bits with the students on this is what we need to do to get our current state to this. A lot of them just want the trigger to come in and they'll do it in a day, but it takes a bit more than that, and they're really starting to realise now the amount of mahi that goes into getting something from its current state to what it could look like, which we see the lush grass next door across the boundary fence of what we want our land to. So yeah, that's what we're aiming to do. And we've made a lot of progress on the way so far, so there's a picture there if you wanted to have a look. I think yeah.
Right, thank you. Any questions?
Just have a couple. Short quarter. So I just wanted to ask about students that are keen and interested. You've got interest in year 9s to year 13s. But how many of them are Māori? Like, how many of the Māori students are being drawn to this kaupapa? And as a wānanga, what are you doing in terms of wānanga? Where's the mātauranga Māori being delivered? How is that being done?
Yep. So in terms of our role, about 31% of the 840 students are of the primary industry. That's probably close to about half of the students involved identify as Māori. Where does the Mātauranga Māori fit in terms of this particular project? So our kaumātua Warren Maxwell is really keen to use maramataka and matariki as the way we, in terms of how we plant the land and harvest it in terms of the more traditional methods, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Plus, I mean, that stuff we're doing on a school-wide basis, on a day-to-day environment for the students. In terms of the actual, you know, at the moment we're trying to get the land safe, and then you know, the learning opportunities we are in the background co-designing as we go through, and Warren has a big part to play in what that looks like moving forward. So
you're really hoping on some, you know, local farmers to support the kaupapa and give tuition and advice.
Yeah, we've had a few people come in already. So we've got so the neighbour Hamish Hammond, we've gone onto his farm and done some planting along his place. We've had some local tutors, so past Tarataki tutor Hugh Morrison's come in and done a few fencing one-on-ones. We are getting a few people who are ex students coming in to do a lot of fencing. I've heard about it. A few of my like friend group have shared it around that now live around the South Wairarapa district. So that's been really awesome to see them saying, yeah, this is cool. I wish we did that when we were there. But yeah, the kids are excited. We've been talking about what crops we might want to do once we get the stones all out of some big rocks in there. To get that out, we've had PGG Rights and Seeds come in and talk about how we might make some where the kids can actually, you know, take it home or use it for a school project and things like that. And we've also had, you know, companies from, you know, we've got kinds of egg coming in that are keen to educate the students and parents of the kids in our Waianga group. We're hoping to extend that invitation out further once we've got a few more projects. At the moment, people are keen, but for me to get projects going, I need to have a starting point to know exactly, yep, we want to do this today, and yep, we want to do that in 3 months and get it ready for the start of next year and things like that. So there's definitely a lot of people in there, and we're still, you know, getting those connections with the kids to say, how do you vision this for the next year, and how can we go about it the best way?
How are you engaging with mana whenua, like Kapawai, Marae and that?
Yep. So we've got a course set up called Core, which all of our junior school are going through. We had a whole day's variety of workshops at the end of last term. Part of that is actually working with Papawai around helping to. There's a lot of work going on in restoring the waterways there, and having our students contribute in that space. So we've been working quite closely with Simone and Mahi around what that can look like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry, you can pass me around. And we've just had a nice big culvert donated to us that we're going to install. We're just going through the South Wairarapa District Council and Wellington Waterways to make sure we're all the right way. But the idea of that is we've made up two paddocks in between that they can cross over safely without, you know, getting into the stream, section off some planting around the side of it, teaching the kids why we do that, why it's important. We need to keep the access way as well open for any traffic coming from Papawai and through to the school end. And we've also neighbouring to the other of us is Lega's going to the Iwi settlement, and we're trying to find for people to create contact with that, because we'd love to work alongside that and bring that land back to life as well. We understand it might be used for housing development or something in the future. In the meantime, we'd love to get involved in maintaining that land before it is used for the next project. Yeah, making them say, yeah, we built that, we're a part of it.
Help you make that contact, so that good.
Yeah, finding that right person that knows what is happening. So really appreciate that. Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Narita, you're up next on, are you talking?
Oh, no, we'll meet Matua.
Oh, yeah. Matua Leighton.
Oh, sorry.
Baby, you don't have to stand down there.
I'll beg your pardon.
Stay there and sit down.
I'm not accustomed. Actually, my name's Leighton. I'm part of Ngāti Henraka Hapu. This is my support person, my daughter Rangi Māori Ayo, and my niece from Australia, Evelyn Clark. She's here for Patariki holiday. Now, I would sort of like to come unprepared because I didn't hear about this meeting until this morning. I did write down a few things. I'm not here to ask for any money or anything like that. No funds. You know, that was my interest. Thank you very much for having us here for to speak to you about our issues. And apologies for not being prepared. And forgive us, forgive me if these are not following any protocols or anything like that. Now, like I said, we've been, we actually beneficiaries on Mātakitaki land blocks at Cape Palliser. And we're here to look for support from the Māori Standing Committee to limit access past the Lighthouse Gate to our ancestral lands through to Waitutuma Street. The Wahitapu sites up on our land. There's been desecration of our land through our vehicle access and especially four-wheel drive vehicles, things like that. Our land and numerous freshwater springs we have. People just driving the river and making a big mess. And because it's so open that anybody's allowed to go through on that paper road, our fish stocks are declining. We took the liberty yesterday without realising that we were going to be here today. We went through to past the Stonewall stream just to see how far we could go, and to the next stream. There's no access. There's no more access right through to White Rock. So I don't know the process of how to stop vehicles. I think this is the process of now because it's been ongoing for so long that it's going to be pretty hard for people to realise that. A lot of people don't realise that it's Māori land; they just think it's public land.
Yeah, and they can just drive through it.
Yep. It's been just going on for years and years and years. As I think a lot of people in this room realise, and would really like help in the process of just limiting the access, maybe to a walking, cycling track to stop the vehicle accident. Access through our land. It's just ripping it up. We have got plenty of evidence on our phones, and we've taken photos and things like that. Just we haven't had the chance to download them and things like that. But I think a lot of people already know that when you go through that gate, you can see the damage that the vehicles have done. That's basically what all I've got to say. Is anybody any questions that I can maybe answer?
So what would you want us to do? Does a court like closing that gate off, or no more access into there, or is it to open the paper road? What would you like us to use it for?
What I'd like to see is a forestry gate there. You know, we don't like. My daughter and I have been down there for the last 3 years, policing the camping, especially during Christmas and New Year's period. And, you know, people just don't, we have got a homemade sign down there, no camping past the gate. But
Doesn't stop them going in.
Yeah, they don't take any notice of it.
Right through there.
So
Posted it on Facebook.
we confront people, and we get abused for it. So I don't know. There's got to be some sort of solution that we can sort of come to. I know maybe this should be a council, South Wairarapa District Council issue. But what we're looking for is just support from you folk. Maybe help us in that process.
don't we?
I sort of don't, are you the mayor?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, let's say, you know, we are peaceful people, you know, we don't want aggro, we don't want any confrontation, so, you know,
Then putting a padlock on it locks us out.
Yeah.
Our own whenua.
well,
It's like.
not necessarily, well, yeah, I think there are solutions that we can come to.
Yeah.
That our own people will still will have access to the land. But what I'm more concerned about is the campers, four-wheel drive club, because they can't go any further than just a couple of.
They drive over beautiful
3
thing,
meters.
destroy them.
That next river's just washed out, right out. There's no access through to the fan.
Yeah. The road,
through
I
to your fan anymore. There's no access to White Rock. Well, they dock camping, because dock do allow camping on the other side of the Stonewall Stream. But I think that'll help us, help them out too as well, to limit that access to them.
So if there was a gate there, I mean, would there be an option for them to just go around it on the,
Yeah, they do.
down on the beach?
We can't go down on the beach.
It'll stop the honest, the honest crooks, but you know, but if somebody really wants to get through, just cut the gate, cut the fence and go through the fence.
Karen? Karen's
Kia ora koutou. I completely agree with this sentiment. There's been so much damage done to that whenua because people go down there, they camp, they light fires when they're not supposed to be, with the ban on, and they get out of hand and get out of control. Plus, there is the stone walls, which is wahi tapu. I've done a little bit of research into unformed legal roads. So there's possibly two ways, and I think what we could ask is for the council to do a little bit of research. Is it a council-made unformed road, or has it actually been through the Māori Land Court? So that's something that I was going to put something in about this, but I realised that I needed to do a bit more homework. I completely agree, and I don't know whether removing the gate altogether might stop people coming through. But the reason they can legally is because it is an unformed road. You can't just think about it until that has been changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remove its status.
So maybe like a working group to come together.
Marvelous.
Doc would have an interest as
Absolutely.
well.
Yes.
Yes.
So we would definitely be happy to
And Ewe.
participate in that.
Oh, that's great.
Well, there's a number of us have shares in that whenua. So we're all on the same page. Yeah.
Amanda?
While you've been talking, I've done a quick bit of research. We have stopped roads before for all kinds of different reasons. So, for example, got the odd one that run through people's homes. We've got one where it was so close to their house and they wanted to do an extension to their house, but they couldn't because there was a paper road in front of their house. So we do stop roads. It is something we can do. I can't find the section of the Local Government Act, but it's quoted as being 3191H and 32421A and Schedule 10. Now, Schedule 10 is the long-term plan schedule. So there might be something we can do. We're about to go into long-term plan. Well, you know, we're engaging in that process now. There might be something in that schedule that gives you the leverage to do it as well and under that piece of work. So there's probably a few opportunities.
Good call. Good call.
Great.
There's also the Māori Land Court as well.
I don't know whether it's council or Māori Land Court, so we need to figure out whether it's ours or some.
But the first thing is that because people know it's a paper road, they think they have every right to cross and do what they like on their.
Yeah, it's public land.
Change it needs to remove everything.
Yes.
Change its status.
Yes, Mayor Connolly?
Kia ora. Yes, let's proceed with the paper road closure. Let's also remember that just because people might be entitled onto a paper road doesn't mean they're entitled onto
step off
the
there.
land on site, either side of it. I would also suggest that something that would be well worth doing here. The local police have greatly increased their capacity to police in rural areas in the last 6 months. And I think we ought to also ask our CE to communicate with the local police superintendent and ask about what sort of steps can be taken to, because I think, as you have said, if you put up a road or a block, you know, if you're nasty enough, you'll find a way in it. At the end, we still have to have some way of enforcing people's rights to enjoy their own property. And I think more particularly, it's a matter we discussed at a very early stage, is how do we protect sites of significance?
Yes.
And this is a real live example of we can do some stuff that helps. So
Okay, so actions from this steering group.
Can I just clarify one thing? Because I think you actually touched on something that could be in a way beneficial. And so people don't lose it either, and lose the knowledge. And you said about perhaps putting a walking track through there rather than vehicle access.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think any kind of cycle track that then leads to people wanting to take their horses. So I think it's probably better to just do a walking track. Definitely, that thing. But I think it's really, I think that would actually be quite beautiful, because I mean, growing up here, we never took our car through, but you know, we'd always make our way through to the water, and just the stories, and you know, the knowledge that, you know, there's the timeline that can be passed on.
Yeah.
We grew up, and I think
It's a very beautiful part of the country, of the world, and yet we don't want people to. We don't want to stop people from
Doing
experiencing
it, yeah.
what we want people to expect it.
Yep,
that's right.
You know, from our point of view, you know.
And it's great grandchildren.
From down there, and you know, if anybody asks any questions, you know, we answer them.
But I thought that was really nice that you were open to looking at having some kind of like walking track that could.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's cool.
Yeah, park up in the car park where the lighthouse is and walk.
Amanda?
We own it.
It's thinking about the freedom camping bylaw that's going in at the moment as well, and protection of special places is one of the elements of that potential bylaw. And we have got money set aside, this putia set aside for public education, it's kind of called, but you could do something like signage, or I'm thinking about your other project with the PO at the moment, you know, a QR code that somebody could, you know, put on their phone, and there's a sign there that says this is significant for Māori. This has got special stories that we want to tell. So just be more than just a don't go here fence. It's like, why can't you go here? Or what, if you want to go here, what do you need to be mindful of?
Great ideas. Great. We'll save those for our subcommittee. But, you know, obviously very passionate
about how to use money creatively.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I always like the signage that, you know, as in Tuhoe or Waikato or something, you are entering the tribal lands of. Isn't it like?
Yeah. Nation had that. Will be eaten. The nation had that. Yeah, trespassers will be eaten.
Not by us, by the pig.
Halfway.
Yuck.
So
Some volunteers to.
yeah, if we can let Nikki know if you would like to be if you're interested in this kaupapa.
Yeah, it's
And
not
we'll-
a conversation that we had.
Yeah,
Karen, look, hands up, Karen.
yeah,
I hope
I'm volunteering.
yeah.
No, it's
you're
not a
volunteering.
question. I'm volunteering.
Oh,
Kapai.
it's cool.
Halfway. So you'll be our key contact.
Yes, I believe so now.
I'll help out too.
We got the details.
Yeah.
I got license.
We'll all away through a hini waka too.
Rohini waka.
We're up on the other side of their gate.
So Matua Leighton, you'll chair this. You'll chair us.
You'll be the chair.
You're our rangatira in this space. You brought it to the table. So maybe if we can get your contacts and Nikki will help us. Yep.
Yeah, she'll help to organise it.
Oh,
We-
okay.
Yeah, be just the man at the top.
Piece of a
And
Lovely.
study and then preparing something
I'll be the one that's sitting at the end with a cup of tea.
for the process.
yeah, I'll be on that role too.
We'll talk to Manawinawa and see how they want to proceed first. But if we want to formalise that, we'll put another feature on our agenda and pass a resolution. So I'd like just to have a really good kōrero about it.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ngā mihi. All right, moving on to our next one. Narita, you're the Greytown Trail Po. What's got your name against that?
So has everyone had a chance to have a read of
Little red.
application and report? I've attached the vote there. Basically, the PO has been erected and unveiled. And Patu Mokai is the we manaki'd everyone that came to Featherston to unveil that. So I'd applied for some funding to culture and heritage to a Matariki event with the unveiling and help for the lighting and the cherry picker and a video to record that event. So
Aroha, we just need to be able to hear online, so.
and also to support our kai that we had at Brackenbridge after the event, which was fantastic. They really looked after us. The Manaki was fantastic at Brackenbow. Karen and I went down the night before and decorated our tables and put our offerings to the atua with our kumara and pumpkin and lemons from Karen's neighbour's tree. And, and we put all our foliage and kawa across the table, and it was lovely. And Brackenbow really did look after us as well. So that has given us some footage of the actual unveiling, and there's some recording of the karakia of the day. The pipaya. So the Po has its own, he has his own pipaya, and it's made of stainless steel, I think. And Jordan Fox blew it, and it worked, like proper worked, and it was. And then when the lights went on, Nuku Piwa Simon karanga to him. So it was just beautiful. And we pulled us a lead and did karakia, and then called us all in. He did it in 3 bursts, and so we all came in with taiki, the whole person community. It must have been 60, 70 people there.
Sure.
Featherston just love taha Māori tanga. They love their art installation. They love their town having these big pieces of art installation. So it was well received. So we've got this video footage that is of the actual unveiling. There's another part to it, and I'm calling it phase 2, and that is to have a couple of interviews done. And in my head, I'm thinking Paura, only because one of the story is the celestial whakapapa of South Wairarapa. Now, I'd only ever heard that about 3 years ago when Dr. Rangi Mātāmua came here, and Paura expressed this whakapapa that belongs to South Wairarapa, and I thought, geez, that's amazing, never knew that, And so I'm asking Paura if he would say that in an interview, talk about that celestial whakapapa, because Matariki, and South Wairarapa having its own. And the other part is the pūrākau related to Nuku Piwa and specifically to the Po. So there's 2 videos, and then there's some extra footage I want them to take of the swing bridge, Tauwharaniko River, and of course Wairarapa Moana. So ultimately, we're trying to create 3 videos, one of the celestial whakapapa for South Wairarapa, one of the pūrākau, and the last one is the opening. So we've got that one already. And then the crowd that I'm using to do this worker called Hoffman Pro.
Hmm.
He can create a QR code in stainless steel that can be mounted onto the Po. And so any visitors that come to Featherston that's come to see that Po, and that's the only way you can access the videos is to be in front of the Po, scan it. It will send, point you to the 3 videos and you can watch them, one after the other. And so, and I just always knew that with Māori Standing Committee, when we did our Po whakapapa, but it was about trying to tell the stories of South Wairarapa, sharing those stories in a way that really we control the narrative as well. So, bing, this is a great project.
Can I ask a question here, Papa? So for the interviews, that's your phase 2, yeah? I'm of the understanding that did Eddie do the carving?
Eddie did the carving, yeah.
He'd be a good fellow to get in that interview too, to see what his thoughts.
That's right.
Make.
Yeah, absolutely. He did. He got on stage and because he doesn't like to talk. He's really super shy.
Yeah, well, he's got a deafness thing.
He did really well. It was like he really enjoyed that. Yeah, he was just.
And
he's going to give us a song.
well, before he lost his hearing, it was a really good thing. A really good thing.
Oh yes,
Yeah, family police kind of,
and Simon, we're in a.
the whole whānau, the iwi whānau.
That's right. So
but I mean, let's just give us because our parent. This is just what I heard in the last day or so. Apparently, he's been working on for 2 or 3 years for a while, and so his whakaaro on because I mean, he's a pretty normal boy too,
Yeah. It doesn't have to be pulled out. I just know that celestial whakapapa.
The celestial whakapapa from him.
Where I'd heard it, and
You can give his kōrero on his.
so if that's what you want to do is try and wrap the project up
Yes.
with pūrākau, whakapapa, and the actual unveil. So anybody that comes, just imagine your descendants. 30 years from now, someone coming there, standing there, and hearing.
Someone
takes a back on the bus and go, oh, bro, this is blah, blah. But, I just recently watched and it's a TV series on TV at the moment, but it's video footage from 1974 on Marae interviewing our kuia with Mokowai, and it's beautiful. And the only reason I recognise those kuia's faces is because Goldie painted them.
Yes.
I go, oh, she's the one that's got the in her mouth, and and so it just feels I just think that's such a treasure. And they did that in 1974, not knowing what would happen to it, how many years later. But thank goodness they did, because you're also hearing real Māori, raw real Māori.
True, real Māori. Not this.
Karen, do you want to add anything?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, ka pai.
It's cool.
So you're asking for?
The quote is 7,200 plus GST. I know it's like freak you out, but
Look what you get for it.
just what these guys are. Videographer, editing. It's a lot of time. It's snippets of footage
And we have our history recorded.
in a safe state.
Everybody to hear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Important too. But that's a really good discussion to have. So
Okay, well, we'll simmer away on that, percolate that. We'll come back to it later in our agenda, but awesome. We've been wanting to do this
Yeah, we
for a long time.
ages.
Yeah. So.
It's one of the great girls.
Yeah.
Out of our best.
We got to go.
Okay,
I'd like to thank you very much for your time, your valuable time.
yeah, keep in touch, my friends.
Thank you, John.
Beautiful. Kia ora.
Thank you so much. Now you got his contacts, eh?
Yeah, I got the email, but we'll be here.
Click on that.
Super.
Ka kite whānau.
Whānau. All right, we're moving on to our Māori Standing Committee minutes from the 27th of April. I'll take those as read. Were there any corrections needed to be made to those minutes? Oh, do I have a mover? Narita, you were here, present?
Yes.
So Narita, and the seconder is JD. All in favour?
Right.
Order. Okay, so we'll move on to the chairperson report. I'd like to move. And Violet second that. Was there any partai for that? It's just standard update. Now we'll move on. Reports from the chief executive and staff. So over to our Po Māori. You're up, Leanne.
It's a brand new hat.
Any points to highlight for you on page 10 is where we start, or 11 on discussion point?
This, they be waiting to hear from.
Going to me or everybody?
I'll
talk to it after.
just
Gonna tell us.
wait.
Oh,
Any highlights?
yeah, just on page 12, most of page 11 is just, well, actually, there's the Urupa maintenance. It all needs taking note of, so I'm hoping someone read it. But the Urupa maintenance, I've met with Papawai and they've already got something in place and they don't want to disrupt that. And they said it was Paul Selby and it's a trust, and they said that he said that he would, if the opportunity comes and there is funding, they want to do the fence out the front, so they would rather that there was any contribution that went to that. And I did talk to him about the grants as well, so
Okay.
so I'll, yeah, to see that with yous. I think the potential discussion points, main one there are obviously Wellington Water are here tonight. And Nigel's going to talk about the emergency, but remember the road naming we had, well, these are policy, but the road naming application, actually that's page 13 on Bidwell's Crossing, they're still waiting for some feedback on that one. So I think it's got to go to the Greytown Community Board. When's that, next week? Yeah, so if you can either give or not give feedback on the choice of the three names.
Oh, okay.
And I just want to note they've spelt Mahunga wrong. Yeah, which I didn't think we were going to go to.
Yes, it's not.
Just for us to make a decision of those three and someone putting it in writing. Okay, well, let's do that tomorrow.
Sorry?
That's right.
Yeah.
So and then of course it comes back to the road naming policy, which we're looking on now, and we're looking at Masterton. So see, they didn't have to bring that to use because new roads don't need to come. It was actually Greytown Community Board that asked that it come to the yeah. So obviously that naming policy needs some work on it, which we're doing at the moment.
The feedback, so the last time the naming policy came up, the feedback was just the fact that each hapa was needing to take it through to their iwi. That was meaning that to get it signed off, and the people who were putting these names forward had X amount of days from the council to be able to do it. So it wasn't fitting. And that's where the struggle. That's where the struggle was at the last time that it came to the Māori Standing Committee. Remember that was the place in Featherston.
Yeah, actually, no, Carlene actually went down as Langitane to meet with them to have a look at the site and discussion around the name that he was choosing, but
his mother.
But there's, we're going to do some recommendations on the name policy and work on that. And if you go on to the Masterton District Council, I don't want to give them a plug, but in their road naming policy, they've actually got
some diagrams of the processes they go through.
Oh, that's easy. That's good. That's really nice works.
Yeah. Action points, we've got Lisa here tonight to present the Wairarapa Positive Aging Strategy. Obviously, kaumātua housing, pensioner flats, is always a big issue for our kaumātua. We're just beginning our long-term planning process, so support the long-term planning consultation once we get going. It's a bit about that. Nikki's got a report on the representation review. I feel like I'm just plugging everyone else tonight. And then there's the workshops you guys have had. I don't know where we're at with the freedom camping bylaw. Do you know?
Yeah, that would be Katie. I didn't go to the last meeting, but they are coming here to visit the South Wairarapa at the end of next week, I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So if anyone's available and is interested in talking to them face to face, there's an opportunity while they're here to do that. If you've got board meetings, any key stakeholders you want them to meet.
Probably Matua Leighton.
Yeah,
for sure. I just need some notice because he's out at the Cape Palace. So.
Yeah, they can go out to him.
Yeah, they can go to him, eh?
They want to drive. They want to go out and have a look at the places. I think that's going to be really critical so they get an understanding.
Them at the lighthouse.
And I think that's part of the reason for spending some time here is not just making personal kanohi to kanohi, but also seeing the whenua.
Yeah, it's the freedom camping mob, isn't it?
Yeah, no, this is, I'll let him know. Yeah. So Liam will let him know about that. Just on the sites of significance, it was asked the other day that we close the loop once the work's finished, and it comes back to the Māori Standing Committee. Out of respect for that, it was South Wairarapa process of identifying sites of significance was kicked off here.
Yeah.
So they want to come back here to close the loop. That work's was progressing really well. Next Saturday, there is a Māori purpose zone hui at Kāratin.
That's for the Wairarapa Waira.
Yeah, it only relates to land that you whakapapa to. So it's around customary titles to land. So that went out to a lot of the marae in that. Kāratin are leading, Tia's Marston have been leading that. So I've been looking after the sites of significance. So that hui is on Saturday, but anyone can go along to the hui. But it's around MPZ on when it's ancestral land, Māori purpose zoning on ancestral land.
Okay. And so, with sites of significance with council, that's a register of where the sites of significance. Yeah, because I was looking at one from Harwood Council the other day, and it's like there's hundreds.
Yeah, there's hundreds.
Some of it is a gateway on the high street or a series of shops on the high street. And I was like, yeah, I bet it is. I bet you those are all significant sites. They were once owned by a Māori. And so, yeah, some of it's just a doorway, a gate, set of stairs. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, no, and not just Māori out our coastline either. So it's a big piece of work, and I don't want to talk about it without, the completion of it, but it's progressed a long way.
Great.
We were originally.
Yeah, can't buy.
That's in Kāratin, eh? That's the one in Kāratin.
Oh, that hui in Kāratin is mainly about the Māori purpose zoning.
Oh.
That's to do with it'll be a lot around how you get building consent
On Māori land.
on whenua Māori.
Yeah.
And I believe there's there's 3 stages of it. I can send the document out. I thought I had, sorry. But it's still an engagement process at the moment. Violet was at the first hui. Yeah.
So does Tia's leading that, yeah?
Has been.
Has been, but she's not at council anymore.
Oh.
It's still there, yeah. It should be there on Saturday. Yeah. So any questions you have around it, bring them along. And obviously that's about finding out what whānau want And whether this is fit for purpose, what they're proposing, this goes in the district plan. Yeah.
Any questions for? Oh, yes. I was just wondering if there's any feedback from Hirawini regarding his.
Not to me, it's to me.
Not to me either.
No, okay, we'll follow up on that. Because I'm interested
Oh, yeah.
to see how that's going.
Wairarapa the mayor, myself and the CE went to the inaugural Wairarapa Statutory Board hui, but it's not formed yet, so it's still in progress at the moment.
We're figuring it out.
Have someone move,
Pathway. Just your note on key focus areas, is it? Key focus areas. Promotion of the committee members and the role and achievements committee is in process. What's that looking like, Leanne? Is that a little?
What number were you on?
What's the
page 12.
page 12? The last one, promotion of the committee members. What's that looking like? Is that like a little bio?
So that we're looking, so remember I sent an email back up to say we were going to put a photo up, so you got a lovely photo on there now. But the next part is Rebecca, when she has a moment, is going to get in touch with individuals and have a kōrero with you about why, what you're interested in, why you want to be, she'll have a few questions. So we get a personal approach of why you're doing this mahi. Yeah. And what are your aspirations around it? And also if you want to put your PPH.
And also collectively as the committee, the things that we've.
Yeah. And so that's got to come from yous. So you know how we say, it's not all about council owning it. It's about you guys saying, this is mahi that we've been involved with that we feel should be promoted.
Yeah. We haven't talked about our successes.
No, and I think yous know those successes more than anyone else. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Mayor Connolly?
Yeah, I do think it's important to regularly remind people that we exist and what we've done, because something in the Bible about, not hiding your light under a bushel. But I think that there is no other way for a lot of people to understand some of the great stuff that's happened here, unless we're being a little bit marketing and advisorial or whatever the word is. And so I think, things like a Facebook page, even a quarterly newsletter, for example. I think, for example, I kind of hate what I'm about to say, but whenever the rates go out, there's usually a 4-page newsletter in it, and really, I'm not sure whether what I'm about to say is very sensible, but bear with me. I mean, if one of those 4 pages could be set aside for the Māori Standing Committee, not only would Māori know what you're doing, which is the most important thing, but a lot of other people start to see the value as well. But no, I don't like it going out with the rates, but there must be some other way we can achieve the same goal.
Okay, Kaupai. Can I have someone move Leanne's report? Yeah, Martin, and Violet seconder. Kia ora. Thank you for your mahi as always, Leanne. On to the next one. We've got Wellington Water Planting Day report. Can I get someone to move the Wellington Water Planting Day report? Councillor Maynard and Narita Hooper. Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Any against? Oh, okay, the motion is carried. Adam, over to you, and Paul online. Kia ora.
Kia ora, everybody.
Kia ora, koutou.
Kia ora.
Thanks very much again for having us this evening. It's really great to be back. So for those who are get me, so it's in Toko Ingoa, Kei Wellington Water Aho. With me today, this evening, Paul Depart, Supervisor Marby, and Rory Milne, our Senior Communications and Engagement Advisor. So, we're here this evening, I guess, you've got a small report that you read there, but really it's around sort of keeping that momentum going, that discussion with the forum previously, and so we just want to keep that momentum going, and really sort of back to the committee in terms of, have you managed to make good discussions of what you'd like to do? We've got some resolutions on that report, but sort of back to the committee as to looking for that support and commitment for a planting day.
Councillor Leonard.
This is wonderful to see. However, I know that the Martinborough Community Board has been asking for quite some time with regards to it. It was the Martinborough Community Board that brought it through in the first place, asking the Māori Standing Committee to please have a look at this when the flooding actually, when the overspill actually happened. At being on the Martinborough Community Board, I know that at the last meeting, they were again asking for what was going on with regards to this. So I do think that there needs to be a little bit of collaboration, because the affected area was here and real concern about it, and water flows one way. So it's from here down, and they had real concerns, but not only that, they wanted to be involved to know if you wanted them their backing to help you with the school or with any, with the community, bringing them up, trying to help, and there's just not been anything. So to see that this is the second time that you've come here again, and in the meantime, the collaboration with the Martinborough Community Board as well, who have concerns about this, because it's not that 2020 is not the only time it's happened.
Yes.
So it has happened since. And it was just that the one in 2020 was the one that they said that they wanted to ensure that there was planting that was done to acknowledge what had happened. But it has happened again since then. There has been.
Is that a question? Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, in a way it is, just so you can confirm it to everybody else. But I'd really like to know what you're planning on doing with both areas of concern.
So we're just tabling a report around planting day that was organised back in 2020, and unfortunately that we managed to get that over the line that date, and so we're looking to reinvigorate that. But if there's a separate conversation you'd like to have around the wastewater treatment plants themselves, we make sure we can have that, go over some more information if that's what you'd like.
Well, it's more about the spillage into our waterways. It's one thing being asked to accept wastewater straight onto the fennel. Okay, wastewater to land, which is one thing that they've been looking at. But this is wastewater with small, what's meant to be small amounts going into the Ruamahanga River, and we know that hasn't been the case. So when there was the previous spillages, which is why it ended up back with the Martinborough Community Board from previous Wellington Water reports, that they were saying that they had queried it, and they're still waiting on something to from Wellington Water to come back, because that.
So that's there's two kind of issues here, or more than two. We're aware there's more than two, but this is a historic kind of compensation for one incident that you're wanting confirmation on, getting that organised. But we're also keen, as Councillor Maynard highlights, how we actually tackle this collectively. There's issues with all our treatment plants. So we probably like to pick that up and get our ducks in a row with our other community committees, where we can collectively and trying to address these kind of breaches. But for tonight, you're wanting us to provide either decisions on a site and a date. Is that what you're wanting?
Yeah, so we put some resolutions in there you know, we understand that, you know, the committee may still be looking to want to work through before deciding on it. We do want to see the support of a planting day that maybe there's a few extra steps to take towards selecting a site. You know, we've proposed a couple of sites based on what we think might be suitable. But you know, if the committee does support, for example, the planting event, we'd like to co-design that. We don't want to run away and do that ourselves. We want to co-design it.
Do you think we can incorporate though the other community? Community boards.
He wants to assist anybody or get his support before we go running off and talk things the other.
Is there any preference on a site? We've got two here in the Papawai or Inanga spawning. Are these sites have been highlighted for easy access?
But this is a bit.
It's a different site.
But that was.
Do we want some planting at the end of the spawning area?
Yeah, this is salmon rod. Could be a different approach now, and it's on the land.
Ashan, have you got any?
I'm just trying to remember what happened, why it didn't end up going forward last time.
Karen, you might be able to
There was
remember too.
some concerns, wasn't it? Line, I believe, with at Papua.
Papawai didn't feel that they needed any plantings because they'd already had a plan in place and they had already embarked on their
Happening down here.
Yeah, and obviously it had happened further down. So
I'm just wondering because I think these are the locations that you've offered are actually the same ones from originally. And that's why I just had some concerns because Papua had already expressed that they need it.
Yeah, we're already taking care of that.
Does the community board have any ideas around where they'd like to see a planting take place?
Well, they're definitely wanting it somewhere along here, you know, like but to help.
Maybe help Kuranui.
Well, to help slow what's happening, you know, like to help cleanse it as it's going through. When it's near the site of the wastewater treatment plant and we're getting that overspill, plantings around there that can actually help benefit well, to help possibly like if it can stop or it can slow it once in water, which is what a lot of the riparian planting helps do. So, but that was some of their concerns. But I think again, I don't because this hasn't been to the Martinborough Community Board. I don't want to speak on their behalf as
Don't know where they want.
on what they've said. Yeah.
We're interested to hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
So that would be a good next step.
The committee support the idea of the planting day.
Yeah.
And then perhaps it's
Not there,
smaller group to, and if we haven't decided on maybe we don't know if that's the right location, then you know a smaller group to go and visit a few sites, have a look and say what is most appropriate, and obviously get represented the Martinborough Community Board as well.
Yeah,
sounds reasonable. Adam? Yeah. Connolly?
Yes, I remember asking a question the last time this was brought up because it seemed to me such an obvious thing that you would try and plant to protect and heal the land that had been most damaged by the event. And that is surely near to the wastewater plant. And I think it's very much the point that Councillor Maynard's making also. That, you know, that's where, if you like, the offence happened. That's where, not in my mind, we should at least start by thinking how we repair it there. And I'm not convinced that because one site is much easier to access than another, that's a particularly good reason from a historical perspective. We're not afraid of a bit of work, I don't think.
Yeah, okay. Can we propose that, Adam, that you talk to the community board, Martinborough Community Board, and that you get a subcommittee of people who are going around there actually having a look at the site that is most impacted and what can be done. We're happy to support that.
Yeah, we don't want your shit like
Asking for a working group to finalise the logistics and planning.
Yeah. So can I get a mover to accept that Analyze activity plan, attendees, types and numbers of plants to order, like get a working group together.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Discuss
Yeah.
it like this, right? We want to work away with a small group.
With a small group, yeah.
Logistics and design the done.
Yeah.
Karen?
I'll back that completely.
Yeah.
We, there are 2 local, nurseries, native plant nurseries
That's right.
in South Wairarapa, and both nurseries would be happy to assist with the supply of plants.
We'll see.
Sora, thank you. So, can I propose that be the next, we support the next steps outlined? Can I get a seconder? Violet. Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to the next thing now.
Some please. Sorry, Anna. Apologies, Adam, I know I can be quite.
Well, I just want to
But I just.
want to capture it as a separate action or something, just regards to the trip.
No, well, so it's all of this that they want that feedback coming back on what's actually, what has happened with regards to it, because they've been following it up since 2020. Yeah.
Okay, Amanda?
I was just gonna, again, I just having a quick chat. There is an action on the Martinborough Community Board page related to this. That states that these guys were going to come here first and then they were going to go to the Martinborough Community Board. So we've got it. It's just
For the next one.
Got it lined up?
That's all lined up.
Cool.
Hey,
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
moving and shaking.
Perfect.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Kia ora.
Moving on to the information management update report.
Information management update.
Yeah, 9.3.
Sounds and
Can I have a mover to receive our report? Pip Maynard and a second, Mayor Connolly, we'll put you there for that. Those in favour, please say aye.
bye.
Any in the contrary? No. Okay, Chris, is it? Got a Chris?
Got a Chris.
Or Chris McConnell. So yeah, last time I came here, we were just at the information management. So today, probably a big thing is to look at the policy in place. And I just want to really make sure that we've got comfortable in what the wording of the policy with regards to having said. So much better chance to look at documentation. But I've put a statement in there, basically reads all council information, records and archives will be managed in accordance with obligations and an acknowledgement of the rights of Māori to access and use unrestricted records that are considered prime. Iwi will be consulted regarding storage and access information contained. I just wanted to check that you're happy with that wording and that I've got it.
Pretty good to me.
Where was it again? Which page?
Page 18 and the number 5. All council info.
More print.
I suppose my question would just be what we mean by the word unrestricted. I mean, and what difference does it actually make to the intent of the paragraph anyway?
Good question. Yeah, so records that are restricted are ones that are restricted for reasons to do with confidentiality, privacy, some of those sorts of issues.
Right.
So it might be a commercial and confidence contract or something, in which case it would need to be restricted until it's hit the time period where
Public notice.
yeah, so that's what that is.
Okay.
So potentially there is a conflict between if one of these records is also taonga, then potentially we have a problem.
Yeah, it's similar to the conflicts that you have, say, around privacy act and employments and stuff like that, where, for example, you have the right under employment to request information, but some of that can still be restricted based And in situations like this, where we have a conflict, I imagine that would need to come down to a discussion and see if we can find a path to actually get that sorted.
I think in practice, those sorts of things always end up disadvantaging Māori.
And that's why I would see it anyways, but negotiated, because this would be related to when you mark information that's been restricted, when we're actually recording each data against it, we have opportunities to record why it's restricted or restricted.
Okay.
It's like that. And because it's against a certain type of information at any time, I would have, that would be kind of the discussions that we'll need to be having as we go along this whole process, even down to the negotiations, discussions we need to have. What we see is
yeah, I was wondering that who decides.
Besides,
yeah. So last time I mentioned that we were looking at writing into the procedures of how we start.
Okay.
Out, and that's where we'll be coming in. We'll be spending some time with you folks. Taking some guidelines to help council staff identify that once we've got a piece of information, oh, this is one that we need to actually stop what we're doing, engage in a consultation and start to get a feel for what it is that we'd like us to do with the information. Is it?
Yeah. It's amazing. So, if this is the first port of call, Māori Standing Committee, what would our response be? Back to the iwi? But where would we, like, that's a biggie. Because, you know,
Can you make that decision without that support? So,
I mean, it says here, the wording is iwi will be consulted.
But then,
First
all right,
port,
we can't determine how we do things at Kohinui. That's hapu. And that's, yeah.
Amanda?
So you might want to put some additional wording in iwi hapu marae, maybe.
yeah, I just think that word iwi,
because it's
Hapu are the ruling.
Yeah.
That's
big area, right?
a word, you know, that's
Not iwi.
What you commonly see in most policies that I've been looking at across councils, it has a one-word statement about, we respect the obligations under Te or what, and leave it at that. But to me, that's so.
Maybe instead of saying iwi, it would be mana whenua.
Can it be the Māori Standing Committee?
It can be whatever you want it to be.
it could be whatever you
Yeah,
want.
because the representatives of mana whenua.
and I guess if you think it's something to do with your whakapapa,
Yeah.
you would know what line where you need to go to
Yeah.
record all that, Is it? And so we've got to be really, really mindful of the Māori Standing Committee going forward, that if anyone leaves it, that the next person that comes on has that full understanding. Like the role is important.
Yeah.
That induction and understanding, the
Induction and
communication of the.
Yeah.
Because
Amanda?
We can always seek external legal opinion as well. Like if you guys feel like you were out of your depth or you didn't know what something was, we can always seek, like we could go, for example, to Te Arawhiti, who do, responsible for some of that advice.
Yeah.
The Office of the Ombudsman, so potentially responsible for some of that advice and can give guidance on where to look for particular legislation or examples of practice where other organisations are doing something similar or struggle with a similar issue.
Yeah. Okay, ka pai. So we'll just keep the conversation going.
Yep.
And already we've identified maybe including hapu and iwi, because we're representing those here at this table. But we'll keep the conversation going.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Also,
Thank you, Chris.
That's cool.
For that. That's important, Taki.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, we'll now move on to our emergency assistance report. Do I have a mover to receive this?
I
That was Violet. Seconder. Who we got? All those in favour?
I.
3. Okay, welcome. All right, Nigel.
No wanganoa hau, kei te taha o te awa wanganoa hau e noho ana. E te taha. I'm the emergency management and health supervisor for the district council and executive support on behalf of myself and my colleagues from England who have put it all with the Māori and whatever and how we can partner in emergency assistance. So our traditional model or our model we used in the past is that when we have an emergency events and we have people looking after, if it's big enough that we need to combine forces with the other 2 councils, three councils, Greater Wellington. We operate the Emergency Assistance Centre. We operate the Emergency Operations Centre. And through that, we task different areas of response. And when we're looking after people, we'll find a place to accommodate them, to shelter them. And that might be a church or another group. We really want to have those relationships identified in advance. Because I are already providing manakitanga to community, to Māori and to
Everybody.
to the community. It's a really great opportunity to partner and collaborate, and it's really important that we're not seen as trying to control or synthesize what's happening, and that it's so important that the strength of that existing could work so well together. And so we're just wanting to I guess recognize the mana motuhake of each marae in that space. But also that if we come and ask each marae to stand up in this context that's not really quite either, because they needs to be able to say what they want to do or how they want to do it. And so we'd really like to have a way to get everyone in the room. And I mean, if that's what your recommendation is, I'm seeking support. The best way to come to some kind of agreement or understanding of how this could work and how we could look after our community in times of need.
Is there legislation going through at the moment?
The changes to the emergency management legislation, as from my understanding, there's so much more strengthening of Māori representation. Currently, we have the civil defence group for the Wellington region, and I think recently there's been a call to have heavy representatives on there, kind of a token. Is it not allowed for in the legislation? So the legislation will require us to have, which is so great. But as far as kind of emergency into the legislation, that's specifically that. So this is part of the group. Part of the group's mandate is to make arrangements within that area on how this works. So we could wait till that happens and see what the new group want to do. But I think that we should just get the conversation started.
Good idea.
Are you our key contact? Or I'm aware Hinimore Katani has something to do.
Yeah, so
And John Hooker.
so the responsibility for emergency management technically is council's responsibility. We have to provide emergency management for our district. All of the councils in the Wellington region employ Remo to exist. We fund them and And so anymore works for Remo. So it's her responsibility to make sure that what we're doing and what Remo does is good for Māori and that we're not. And
Yeah, because Remo rang me yesterday to have someone go out to the marae and look at our power pole. Our power boxes, see if we can hook up emergency generator.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
we're the same thing too at Hawaii. We've just doing our board so that it can support an emergency generator. The other thing was, which is something that was brought up here a while back for Hawaii Marae, that I was asked about was we've been an emergency centre, recognised as an emergency centre. What they wanted to do was is there some way that can be reconfirmed? Because they have been, and just so we can, we're looking at setting up like the whole the same, so we're setting up the so you can set up all your emergency systems, you know, for the marae. But yeah, that was one thing that they asked me particularly to sort of bring to the table here, and I'm just trying that education.
so then you've had some.
We have a thing with Tony Cookity, bro. That's awesome.
So we've already had some meetings.
Yeah.
And so we agreed to have a session on emergency assistance centres and how that works at Hauraki in this in September. And so that's what we so I'm aware that in the past there was an agreement, and so that's really great, but it sounds like there's not a clear understanding of what in practice what that actually means.
Yeah, that's what they were.
And that's okay for Hauraki, but Coastal Marae, what are you going to do for us? We looked after all that whānau out there during Gabriel.
That's the question. How does South Wairarapa District Council and Nigel and his role help support our marae and me alongside him to work together? Is that right? Yeah. So what WREMO is doing is probably a bit wider. There's still some stuff developing. There is a bill. I've just sent it to you. There's a bill in Parliament right now, which is more higher level, having Evie sitting on the ECC.
Yeah.
So the question here is, do our marae want to come together and have some discussion? Nigel will facilitate around what do we want and how do we and what South Wairarapa
want to wait for the next.
Well, one of the understandings I got when we were first talking about, when they were explaining it to me, there was sort of because we are a land-based marae. It was because if something happens to the coastal-based marae, that they have somewhere to go to. So that was my understanding that I got out of it.
But if we had solar panels out there, we wouldn't need anyone.
Yeah, my apologies, in my report, there's a report about a letter report on Hauraki.
Yeah.
My report. So they are asking the Māori Standing Committee to have a letter to support them because they're looking to get a generator. But they need someone to say that actually during times of need they help.
It is.
Are we happy to support that?
Letter from the Māori Standing Committee, put it all in the marae. To have one, actually.
Nigel?
District Council.
Absolutely.
But it gets all the marae.
And so can we have someone move an action here that we're absolutely happy to partner with you, Nigel, and the South Wairarapa District Council to really be organised and have strong relationships and be trained in our response. Karen?
Just a query around Featherston. We don't have a marae, so what is the plan there?
What else?
Hey,
but it goes
in your place, Karen.
Amanda?
Who's up on the hill?
And each of the towns also has what's called a community hub.
Yeah.
And they're usually in the town hall. So the Anzac Hall is a emergency response community hub, and the community board have worked with Remo on what does that look like for them.
Kapai.
Hey, just clarify the difference between a hub and emergency systems.
Cool.
So a hub, so we have the Maribor hub is right across the road and the ambulance form. The hub is where the community are encouraged to come together and coordinate with themselves and say.
As soon as we come in.
And so they, connecting those community things together. It's not a place where you've gone sleep, which is what you need in the centre where we could accommodate people. And so, and for Featherstone, yes, we have the, as a call, community, which is a hub. But
we have put in all in the way.
Featherstone is obviously a gap that we need to figure out in Featherstone.
I'll just go to me, Martin, and then to Karen, and then.
Well, I think the Featherstone's Anzac Hall is quite a large building, and it, like what we've just been talking about, it does actually have a generator there right now, so presumably a little bit multi-function. But what I was going to say was just really to pick up Leanne and Violet's point. What we saw up during Cyclone Gabriel on the East Coast was, just as we're talking about here, many marae opened their doors and provided a lot of assistance. But there's also plenty of stories of plenty of marae who asked for some assistance and didn't get it. So I think we've got to be very careful couching this as a, you can help us out. But there's got to be reciprocal responsibilities or a relationship. We're working together here, and there could easily be times when it will be us as a council assisting marae to get back on their feet, etc., and helping them to help their people. So
the community.
Just, I think we need to be careful about the way it's framed.
Yes. Karen?
Is it possible to have a little bit of information around what is available at the Featherstone Community Hall, at the Kiwi Hall? Because all of the marae have comfortable sleeping arrangements for people who can't go home, for instance. We don't have that here in Featherstone, I don't believe.
Cool.
We don't have a room full of mattresses.
Yeah,
room full of mattresses.
Well, that can be part of the hui. Coming together, you'll be able to problem solve. Narita, did you want to say anything?
Oh, no, I'm all right.
Yeah.
Wondering, what about the area around Pachamokai? Like actually at the hub there?
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if it's we need mattresses and.
The only thing is, we lease from council, and we're not allowed to have people sleep inside there.
Yeah, a lot of the council things are like that, aren't they?
Right.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be able to provide that.
Then neither could the Kiwi Hall.
Kiwi Hall probably doesn't.
No, it can't.
I don't think there's mattresses down there anyway.
Oh, I wouldn't want to sleep in there.
Well, that's part of the hui, maybe all this problem solving. So
Miserable gates on the.
Karen, I'll give you the last word, Karen. You okay to buy?
Okay to buy.
Okay to buy, okay. Thank you, Nigel. We're all good to have a hui.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Nigel.
Very well,
Got a passion in there. Now we've got Lisa Matthews here. She's going to be talking to us around our the Hawkeye and Nuku Wairarapa Regional Positive Aging Strategy Report. Do I have someone to receive this report? Narita, seconder?
Aye.
JD, all in favour?
Aye.
Any against? Oh, okay, Lisa.
So, Koto,
Oh,
Matthews, no medical, the Kalatahi, Niners. Here, Te Hokai Nuku, Positive Aging Strategy Coordinator. Jordan. And it's great to be with you all this evening, and thank you for allowing me to be on the agenda. I really wanted to bring the positive ageing strategy to the attention of the new, or not so new anymore, but new Māori Standing Committee since last year. So you have the report in front of you from me, which has got a bit of information. But basically, the strategy was launched in 2019. It was based on some pretty good engagement. However, I am told that it wasn't as strong as it would have been with Māori. So I wasn't around at the time, but that's what I understand. The strategy outlines the 6 goals that you have there in the report, covering community services and health services, communication and engagement, housing, transport, places and spaces, and cultural diversity. And I particularly highlighted the goal 4 regarding cultural diversity for you in the work that outlines. Critical thing to remember is that this is a strategy for the whole of council, so it's needs to be implemented through all of our work, all of the work of staff. However, I have the role of the coordinator of the implementation, and I work across the 3 councils. And I work part-time. So so today is a Martinborough day. Yesterday was a Masterton day, and Thursday will be a Cardigan day. So I've become very familiar with staff rooms in each council, and I'm sorry, I've got a swipe card for each building. So if you want to bust in, tell us. Each year I have a work plan that I try to work to, which is based on priorities outlined from the strategy, and I look to the community also to let me know what issues that they're seeing here in the community, so that the work plan can be fresh and relevant. So actually bringing that here to you is an opportunity to hear from you in regard to what issues that we should be looking at. I just wanted to quickly just say that we will be looking to review this, and I will be looking to work very closely with Leanne and the Māori Standing Committee in regard to any further review, which is scheduled for kicking off next year.
2024.
Starting to plan an engagement and progress.
How's South Wairakei District Council going on the cultural competency treaty knowledge training for all staff members?
Well, as you know, as I saw it in as in the end report, we've been very fortunate, and I attended. I am employed by Cardigan District Council, but I attended as a South Wairakei ring-in, but it was a great opportunity to attend, and I do know that the staff that I sat with were really excited by the training, and I always enjoy an opportunity to receive training.
Oh, was that by engaging well with Pone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was challenging, and I must say Lisa managed to, she was not disturbed by the.
It was great. Really, I really enjoyed it.
It was challenging.
But yes, in terms of progress, then that's a really big win for South Wairakei this year. So
Yeah, it is great, isn't it?
yeah, and then Leanne arriving,
Yeah.
it's just
you know, I mean.
Wasn't accidental.
Māori Standing Committee
For a couple of years.
that we've been trying to create within council is that Māori but also having support to, create a new council. We wanted to work with a dynamic council. I mean, a few years ago, I think I put it in the LTP, to work with a dynamic council. And so these are steps forward. Oh, I'm really pleased to hear it.
Yeah, and people like Lisa keep putting that step forward because they understand what manaakitanga is in her role. She understands what we are, around when we're after our kaumātua, she gets something that we're growing.
I'm trying.
Councillor Maynard?
I think it's really important as well. I think we ended up being a little bit highlighted on the previous outcome that came from that is that there was nothing kind of showing the fact that actually Māori elderly tend to stay in the home. Yeah. They don't go into rest homes and they don't go into, so that was where there was this kind of disconnect, I guess, more than anything else. And I'm so glad to see you here because I think that for the Māori Standing Committee to be able to go back and talk to the marae about the fact, and to have some support out there with this kaupapa, especially because we've been taught to, growing up that we need to respect our elders. And that's first and foremost before anything else, that's learned pretty much the very first thing that you learn. And so we always want to see them with dignity. And how do you do that sometimes when they can't have, a home or there's no more pūtea for them or, and they do not want to ask for help. They're not interested, like you can turn up with some milk and biscuits. But don't you, like there's certain things that you have to do to be really mindful of. And so that to me is, I guess, kind of where I see this and more looking at how we support them in their homes, because a lot of the time, it only takes someone, the main care, or they won't call themselves a caregiver, just the main moko or child, just to go on holiday.
Yeah, and being in the health sector, there is supports that are there. So making, whānau aware of, what kind of supports are there instead of just doing it out of aroha that you do, that actually can be supported in many ways. So it'd be really good to be able to also do some of that kind of education with our whānau instead of them battling on, trying to look after
that's right.
our kaumātua on their own.
Yes. And there's that other level, Lisa? So you're part of the master plan for Featherston. And so that was actually a really good, I had another little insight into that because when we're thinking about how do our kaumātua manage day to day around town, just nipping down to the and getting their bits and pieces because they still want to do that by themselves. And we had that discussion about the speed limit. I mean, all that stuff all comes into it. And also looking at the Canberra of the road, if they get speak there,
they can't walk up there to get the middle of the road and then got to walk down again.
My mum, her eyesight was failing and she always loved to walk down to town to and do her pieces. But as her eyesight started to fail, she lost confidence, and because the Canberra and the so fast and Featherston, she started going downtown.
The disability,
the cross section I'll jump in there. The cross section between disability and accessibility and older persons is huge because, of course, we have 59% of our older people saying that they have a disability. So, although I'm not a disability expert, I do find myself flying the Canberra flag and talking about seating and talking about the pavements and things like that. And also with that, I wanted to stress that it's in all of council strategy. It's not the biggest master plan. It's the roads and pavings, but it's also the activities and walking opportunities and the access to services and stuff like that. So why I come every week to each office is so that I'm present in front of staff going, what's your work about? Have you thought about other persons? So I muscled my way. Well, I was invited into the
it's just another whole level of thinking because just I said one that came to my mind just then. But a post at the rail at pedestrian crossings just to have a handrail on it.
Yeah.
They can lean on it.
Step over.
Just for their waist.
Just the
Well,
there's some incredibly simple things, and I'm sorry, I could talk all night, so I don't want to take up too much of time. But like the park benches that we use, put an armrest.
Armrest so you can get down and up.
People can get up and down. It's really simple, and that's
right.
One thing that Bryce before he left, he went and bought all these park benches with arms because I was So there's really, really simple things and there's really, really big things and probably that interaction with the health system is a really huge thing around actually getting people to know even about the St. John's shuttle service and all that and what's available to them. And so I am trying to build slowly. It's been difficult with Te Pātahora because of the restructuring and also because of COVID. It's been really hard I've been too busy, but I am trying to slowly inch my way into that as well, to see what connections can be made there and what opportunities. And I think that's the critical thing around, and that you were alluding to, which is actually that the fact that as our town and our towns and our areas and our rohi, the numbers of older people are going to grow, and actually that's an opportunity. That's not a problem.
No.
There is an opportunity. So
how would you like us to engage? Because our times are.
I know. I guess one thing really simple thing is that if you hear of any issues that your kaumātua kuia are seeing, then please forward it to Leanne or forward it to me, see what I can do. And also, I'm always happy to come back and talk about anything. But just really wanted to say hello. This is strategy. It's good. Could be better, and we'll start working on that.
Yeah, we're keen.
That's awesome.
Leanne and I are working together on strategy.
That is awesome.
Collaboration.
Yeah. And how you've got a job for me already.
But thinking about our long-term plan that's coming up, is have we enough kaumātua housing? South Wairarapa for our growing. Our opportunities coming.
Yeah, I think being a part of the review that you are going to kick off in next year will be critical. Yeah, so really want to be engaged in that, how you're going to have an engagement plan.
Yeah, well, I'll be co-writing the engagement plan. That's all right.
Yeah, that's great. Cheers, Lisa. Carry on to our next one, 9.6, representation review. Can I have a mover for this report? Pip and a seconder, Violet, all in favour? Any against? Carl. So Nikki. Who's Nikki?
Dave. Me.
Oh, yeah.
Nikki. It's Nicolette. Yeah, the official one.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Nikki. So I have an update since the report came to you. The report that is in front of you is a report that went to council as well. And I just wanted to give you an update on a meeting that I had and Leanne and I had yesterday with Elections New Zealand. Yeah. So there are a couple of things that there's 4 points I'd like to update you on. So the update is around the optional views. Remember, we talked earlier about there are optional votes that council can choose to take in September for either first past the post or STV, single vote. And then in November for Māori Standing Ward. They are optional votes for council, with the exception that if council do not vote to make a change to either of those things, then no change will happen for the 2025 election.
So that decision rests with council.
Yeah. So those two decisions
have to happen this year.
Year or
This
not at all.
for a change
Yeah.
to take place in 2025 election.
Right.
So they actually sit slightly outside the representation review. So council can, it's optional and that council can choose to take that vote or not. If they do not take the vote, then we go with status quo.
Stay the same.
So first off is first past the post and single transferable vote. So that is due in September. So
Yeah.
council will need to make a decision in September if that changes. If there's no vote or the vote is for FPP, then we stay as we are.
Yeah.
Or if they vote to change it, it's STV.
Yeah.
The only way that that can then be shifted or changed is that there is a legal requirement that if for a poll, if 5% of the electoral roll or ask for, so 5% need to kind of voice up and ask for a poll, in which case council have a legal obligation for a poll to take place, and that poll is binding around FPP or STV.
Okay.
We got rid of that, Luke.
No, we got rid of the
That's
Māori
nice.
Standing, yeah. So that's the first vote is STV, which can be overturned by the poll. The second vote, which is in November, is for the Māori Standing Committee. And
Māori ward.
sorry, Māori Ward. And council will need to make a resolution, for that in November for a Māori ward to take effect in 2025. And that cannot be changed after that resolution. And that will be in effect for 2 cycles of election.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other piece of information is that because FPP and STV sit slightly, and the Māori ward sit slightly outside of the representation review, those decisions are not considered by the commissioner.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, question. For the Māori ward council votes in November, can there also be the poll requested?
No
by
poll can
5%?
be put on it.
They can request it, but it's not binding.
Oh, okay, so
The money, they cost about $50,000 to deliver a poll.
yeah, I was mindful of your budget.
Yeah. Then if you don't, then.
Mayor Connolly, would you have any insights on how this council was kind of thinking about these two?
Where they leaning.
I think at this stage it would be fair to say they are really quite agnostic. I don't recall anybody expressing a sort of a concerted effort to get a decision one way or the other. What do you think, Councillor?
I support it. I think that in this, the Māori Standing Committee has an opportunity to actually, yes, because I think it's very, very easy for council just to stay with the status quo because you know what you know. And I don't necessarily believe that that's the right thing, but I don't want to also, have that sway either. So I think, what is the preference here at the table? Is it actually looking at moving away from FPP? Because if that's the case, then I think we need to start having the conversations and things like that, because everything feels so amazing at the moment when it comes to change. And I just think that there's an opportunity now to start having some conversations. So
let me finish off because that might also.
He's got a lot more.
Kind of pull together everything else.
Was that 2 points?
So there was 2 points.
Yep.
So my third point is, Councillor Maynard, you are correct in regards to the one vote for the Māori ward that you raised in the workshop last week. Those individuals who are on the Māori electoral roll will only be able to vote for the Māori ward. So they will have one vote.
And the mayor.
And
depending on the situation with the wards, you could end up at Lumen, if you had the same setup, with people on the general electoral roll having more votes
Well, definitely.
So they ran the scenario for us, and if everyone was to have one vote, we would need 8 wards.
And if they were separate wards?
Yes, that was, yeah, so we can do some more investigation in that, but that was kind of the information that we got from Elections NZ in regards to that. You are correct, that point that you raised.
Really racist.
The recommendation that I got from Elections New Zealand that I just wanted to pass on was to consider it being an and. So the Māori Standing Committee and a Māori ward and ... That was their recommendation to bring to this table.
Well, I think we'd already thought that the other day anyway.
Yeah.
But the other thing is there's several questions, isn't there? There's several things that we need to vote on. And one of them was around representation of the councillors.
Yes, so that comes next year. So the first 2 decisions that get made are the Māori ward review, how we vote. And then those 2 things set the scene for the full representation review next year.
But we don't have any voting rights other than through the mayor.
Input.
Well, yeah, but she hasn't given us her vote really, like the mayor has, like you'll support us.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
That's why when I ran, I didn't run for myself, so that's why I'm refused to make a call on what I think right now to try and encourage other people on where they want to go, because I'm here to support you, not
One of the good things I think I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, Nikki, but if there is feedback from the Māori Standing Committee, iwi hapu marae, and to recommend to council, and that information is documented, that if there is any electoral commission review on that issue, it cannot be overturned. If they see that there's been Māori input into having a Māori ward and council have agreed to that, it cannot be overturned at all.
Okay, despite a poll.
No, there won't be a poll on that, but if it was a review.
I tell you what is coming, which is under review at the moment, is looking like they're going to vote for it to become mandatory for councils to vote on a Māori ward. So potentially in 2020, getting into the next cycle after this, 2025, council will have a mandatory vote as to whether or not they include a Māori ward.
It's going to happen anyway.
Yes.
Well, this is the thing that I would be the most worried about. Is that we get to November and we haven't sort of quite made up our mind. And so that what then happens is no decision gets made, but unfortunately that makes a decision. And so
saying nothing.
Nothing is saying something here. So this is what I would like to recommend, that before November, that this committee forms a view one way or the other. And in a sense, I hasten to add, I will never be allowed on the Maori roll, so I don't think I get to have a say. So, but I think that's the way it works.
The more calls my.
But very true, very true. But I think there are good reasons for thinking we should have one. I think there are reasons for thinking we might be better without it. But I think the best thing of all is that we actually have got to the point where we have a choice. And we've made that decision and we can go out and defend it. But in any event, hopefully the decision when it's made is representative of people who would be eligible on the roll. So to me, that's the most critical thing, is a yes or a no, and this is why. Because I think if we just we're going to be attacked by a number of people. I think I know their names. And I don't blame them.
No, they're good.
Yes.
They're attacking them already. What I would love everybody to do for this particular please, can you just take it back to your next hui that you have at your marae? It's got to be the first step, and just with an explanation on what FPP
and what STV is, because I guess, you know, like I look at STV and although it's a lot longer process and things like that, it means the vote's never lost. But first past the post means that you can actually get things moving, you know, so I can see where they both have their way, you know, at their places, but I just think it's really, really important that people understand what it is, so that way they know how, you know, they can all in, and that's going to help us make a decision when it comes back here to the Māori Standing Committee.
Maybe we can put it on the agenda for our forum, because it's a free and frank and comes with a position that you and your whānau, you're representing, we might have on that.
Cool.
Anything else? Because
I was going to say,
tomorrow.
I'm more than happy to come and talk to anyone about it, and I'm also more than happy to give you any information that you need. So if you've got something coming up, just flick me an email or give me a call and tell me what you need. And JD, I've got some things coming your way. It's on my list.
We've got our Māori Committee hui tomorrow.
Oh, have you?
So if you could flick me an email. Sorry, dear. It's tomorrow night.
I can come out if you want.
Yes.
One of us to come and speak to it at all.
What sort
You fellas all right? I think you know what it is. Yeah, I've got the stuff that Chief did.
Okay. We'll get that going, but we'll move on now to the.
When's our next call?
I'll be in the next wee while, and
Really concerned so much.
we'll come back to that. 9.7 income and expenditure. Can I get a mover for the finance report? Mover. Marita, seconder. Yep, Violet. All those in favour? Aye. Any against? Motion is carried. Any questions or clarification? Kapai, 3, 2, 1. Kapai. 9.8 financial assistance report. Can I get a mover for this report to be received? Violet. Any Connolly for that? All those in favour? Any against? Motion is carried for that. We're going great guns now.
Oh my God, I've seen it.
Now we need to do the grants. Okay. Are there the two grants that were talked to before? Now, are there any questions or that you want to clarify about the grant applications?
The Kuranui College one?
Yeah, my main thing is that he couldn't even answer about having the Mātai Māori component, you know. We already know half the school is our kids. But in those photos, I can't see any of our kids.
Didn't he say
It's not a kaumātua. It's just
As the Māori teacher, and I think he may have said to them that this might be another avenue for them to go down for fun there.
But and there's some other things too, like the bills over 5K. They're asking us for one, and we're getting the rest.
Part of that might be related to the change in the grants policy, and Lynn might be able to help me with this. I think that traditionally we have put a cap on what life was. So like with the community boards, it's 500. I think it was about 1,000. It's gone up slightly with the new so that may have been related to that.
Yes.
I would feel most uncomfortable voting for this. And if you ask me why part of it is, I can't altogether explain. It's just something in me feels this is not quite genuine. This is not what I would think
maybe Warren. I think it's genuine, but I just don't know if it.
Genuinely
coming to the council.
Community council.
Māori Standing Committee.
Because the lack of Mātai in it alone.
Amanda?
There is the youth grant.
That's right.
Potentially a good fit.
Maybe.
Are you happy for us to recommend they apply for the youth grant?
Karen?
Right. So I
sorry.
They've applied before and we turned them down. It's exactly the same application, exactly the same, word for word.
No, what do you mean they applied for this? When
This
did
is
they
the second time. This is,
Yeah.
they've applied for this in the past and we turned them down.
August 2020. We said for them to apply, we told them to come back to our next meeting is what we did.
Did we?
Yeah, they put it in our meeting and we said to bring it back to us in July, I think.
Oh.
Well, we're here making a decision. It's our decision to refer them to the youth grant.
Yeah. Youth grant funding.
Yeah.
Okay. Phil, do I need to?
Māori. So what's the Mātauranga Māori weekend the sharing sheet?
I can do it. I'm like, where
That's the thing, and
Okay.
you know, our fund don't do that anyway, we start actually doing this, they just can't do it in the school holidays.
and it's really, really wordy. And I think
Decision's been made and we'll move on.
okay, bye.
So have we got agreed to fund Narita Hooper?
Why?
Be really, do I have to step aside for this?
Yeah.
But can I just ask which were you wanting?
Oh, it's the 7,000.
Videos.
Oh, yeah.
The barcode.
Out of our funding po, it's
That's whakapapa.
One happening on Thursday. Sam Ludden's doing the same sort of thing with it.
Yeah, that's in Waipua.
Yeah, it's got a barcode.
Masterman.
Okay.
I think it's
Are we happy to
Either
support this application
Yeah.
for the full amount?
Yeah. It's the best idea. It's got whakapapa, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's education.
Can I get a mover then? Can I get a mover to accept this, Violet? Seconder?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favour?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, carried.
Kia koutou.
Just for records sake.
Wait for it.
I record that Narita and Karen abstained from the vote, just to make really clear.
Thank you, Amanda. Action item reports. Can you read those out to us, Nikki, what they are?
Oh, right. Get out of here, no. Get out of here,
The money here.
Okay, so we've got action item number 189. Following the strategic note, the committee will meet with trustees and stakeholders at each marae to discuss the direction of the committee. We've still got that item. It's been dated 2022. There's a strategy note held 28th of September and the 6th of October 2022. Is that still open?
No, that should be closed. Yeah, we have our work plan.
Okay, 385 is an action point to request the current Wellington Water budget and a report outlining the critical issues and risk, including but not limited to safe drinking water and wastewater management. And there's a few updates here, but see if it's still open. Back from 2022, Watahui scheduled for 1st of September was cancelled. And 3, there was a request to report to be circulated as soon as possible, and then later in 23, the issues are to be addressed at a Watahui that has been requested by officers, but the date is TBC. Any update on that action?
This is their BAU and their, I think if we just have ongoing reports. So to me, don't need to be open there, just Wellington Water should be.
Because
a regular,
right?
probably.
And that was actually a request, I believe, that Andrew, you brought to the table, and it was absolutely like everyone else. Wellington Water needed to be regularly fronting and telling us what's going on.
How regular would you like it?
Well,
Meeting.
yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's happened again.
Yep, great. Okay.
Anytime that there's anything that actually like that's especially that's affecting our waterways.
They need to go on our agenda.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, 59. They'll have to
Just the water's not transparent.
with Māori, Marae, Iwi, Wellington,
And one.
connect them.
Yeah, connect those, please.
Okay, this is great.
Same.
548 is to request clarification on the 2022-2023 operating budget for the Māori Standing Committee. Has that been done?
Yeah, it was all adopted through the annual plan. So the budget was held, it was kept the same as it was last year. No cuts were made to it.
I thought you said that they didn't have a budget last year.
Oh,
So it was changed.
it's been made the same as the community boards. That's right, you're right. That's, yeah.
Do you know how
So
to do this?
you
11,000
Annually,
Yeah,
that's our budget.
yeah. And I think it's like
It's more than that. It wasn't a year. So it was 20.
Oh, maybe it was, yeah.
When would that happen? When would it roll on?
Now,
Okay, cool.
July.
Operations budget, oh, that's,
Confirmed number and email.
Yeah, please.
Yep.
Thanks, Amanda.
it doesn't show on here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it says we've got 24,000.
Nearly there, Fana, nearly there.
I'll email that and then I'll close that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
24K that goes towards like
Okay,
here.
137, resolves two. Now, this is related to the committee work and it's pretty much done except for point 7. Request further information on potential of Kotahi changes to some roads of significance in the coastal areas prior to attending.
No, we rate.
Yeah.
Which has already been.
Done, is that, I've got an update actually, that the CE has written
Oh, yeah.
to.
That's right.
Kotahi board.
Kotahi.
Yeah.
I just received that today, I'll read it.
Council management has asked for a negotiated outcome. I think councillors might be considering a joint letter to encourage them to make the right decision. There's been a lot of advocacy and they're waiting the response for.
Oh, yeah, that's no way we went out.
I missed that original letter. And that's my bad. So my only concern that was missing, it mentions tourism and it mentions something else and it doesn't mention.
Sites, that's good.
It does not mention the massive businesses that we have out there, like as far as fishing and all that kind of stuff. It's not even mentioned. So it's actually, yeah, it's a real big one and it's not mentioned in the letter from what I could pick up, so.
If I feed that back.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I read the businesses out there, fisheries.
Supporting our business community.
Yeah.
They need to get their product to.
Yeah, that's right. And they've got to drive out of there.
That's right.
Out of.
Oh, from Port.
Yeah, don't have to slow there.
Come through Māori.
They're gonna have to use.
I-
They have to go get on a boat this way and somewhere out in the ocean.
Okay, one more.
Okay, 141. See noted, it was an action. With Mana Whenua associated.
Karen?
Yeah, with Karen, this is related to you and replace with
the wording.
Yeah, descendants.
Yeah. Video.
Have we done that?
It's in process. As far as I know, it's done. I haven't seen the last one yet.
Great.
What was that on?
Spoke to Ken.
It was a document to do with the master plan. And
Yeah.
Karen had.
But the Peterson market.
She's a descendant of it.
Mana Whenua.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Members report, long-term plan. Can I get a mover for this report? Yes.
Yep.
Martin, seconder. Okay, Violet, thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Any against? Motion carried. Mayor Connolly.
So very briefly, every 3 years, a council has to do a long-term plan. Long-term plan is, however, a 10-year plan. So think about that. So in other words, we do this 10-year plan, but we update it every 3 years. So we have started ours. It'll be ready for completion June 2024. We have a working title for the long-term plan, a 10-year plan for a sustainable future.
Right.
And what we're focusing on is what we're going to focus on is how can we here in the South Wairarapa be prepared for a more resilient future? Because there are some things that need to change, and I'll just mention a couple of them. We can't sustain rates increases of the sort that we've had for the last 2 or 3 years because people can't afford to live here if we carry on. We can't sustain repairing, spending millions on roads that then collapse again a short while after. So we've got 2 options. One is we just wait and see what gets thrown at us, or the other is to plan to give ourselves a better chance of being ready. So I think our plan stands a much better chance of being successful if it involves as many people as possible who can inform that plan and who will be affected by it. And we know that in the past, Māori communities have often been affected badly by planning decisions that were not well informed by Māori perspectives. So we can do something about that. And so my request is that this committee provides guidance on the best way to engage with Māori to make sure that Māori are heard fully as that long-term plan develops over the year. Thank you.
So do we need to do an engagement plan?
How does that sound?
I think that's something that we can pull together.
Yeah.
Amanda?
There'll be a broader engagement plan done for the whole of the long-term plan. So what we could do is incorporate, I like that council brainstorm, is that if you embed it in our normal practice, then everyone has to do it. It's not something that's done off. Māori engagement isn't the thing that's done off to the side.
No.
It's done that is part of the system rather than Māori engagement over here.
You've had topics tonight that.
Yeah.
Can we just put that down as an action?
Action.
It'll be included in the wider. All right, that's us, Bano. Tonight, not even half past six.
Let's go now.
And then, so, kei noi tātou, kia toes.
Kia tātou katoa.
Kia
Kia tai, tātou ariki, haiu karaiti. Katoa, katoa.
Whiwhinga.
Kei tanga, ki te wairua tapu. Aki, aki, aki.
Amine.
That was so good.
Lovely.
Really good dialogue.
Awesome.
You know.
I love that. I said,
Should we get rid of?